I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter. Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, this segment is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express. Chicken Express.
It's awesome.
Boom.
Question mark? Like, we're leaving the question mark there as a tease for you to go tell us if it's awesome.
There is no question that it's awesome.
Correct.
So, and
Exclamation point.
I took my mother-in-law. Well, I didn't take her, but I brought Chicken Express home for my mother-in-law. My son graduated this weekend, so we had a lot of family.
Congratulations, buddy.
Congrats.
A lot of family in town. She had her first Chicken Express experience.
Ooh.
Dude.
And it was a grand slam.
Dude,
she loved it.
If you bring your mother-in-law Chicken Express,
That's a gold star. Like, you're going to get the gold star.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If I were to bring you a bouquet of flowers, or I were to bring you a bouquet of chicken fingers from Chicken Express, which would you appreciate more?
The tendies. Duh.
I think it's
I don't even have a reasoning for it other than duh.
give tendies.
Strong shout out to the Highland Village location, too. I got 2 family packs and was out of the drive-thru in less than 7 minutes.
That is crazy.
That drive-thru is crisp. It's crisp.
It was really nice.
Are the tendies. It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. We got a lot to get to, Powers. Let's start with our prospect on the rise. Our prospect on the rise is 2022. Alief Hastings, what's he play? Offensive line?
Offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. Timi Gagophien. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Hey, all right.
I was letting you run with this one.
Timi Gagophien, say it confidently. He picked up another Power 5 offer this week, this one from Tennessee. And then he's also added some he had an offer from Louisiana Tech. He's got some other offers from UTSA, North Texas, Houston are all in the boat, as well as Ole Miss. Big boy down there in Alief. We don't talk a ton about Alief Hastings, but every once in a while, it seems like they're not that kind of program that puts out like 5 prospects every single year.
Right.
But they routinely put out 1 or 2. It seems like every class we're talking about someone from the Hastings Bears, and this one, Timi Gagophien, is the latest on deck.
He is a monster. He's an offensive tackle, 6'6", 290. He looks like a linebacker in his pads. I mean, he is really put together. And watching his tape, he played a lot of right tackle for them last year. He runs really well and has the desired length, I think, to be a true offensive tackle projection, and also, the power. You like to see these guys who could play tackle but also have the power. If they have to, they can slide inside. I mean, he is wide at the in the base. He's a guy who could definitely open up some running lanes, and the running back can have a lot of fun running behind him. And, just looking at him, especially on that end zone angle, he kind of reminds me of, looks like Trent Williams.
Wow.
That's a guy who just looks like him on tape, appearance-wise. So it's always difficult to compare someone to Trent Williams, who had my favorite NFL clip of all time that went viral last year whenever he just decleated someone in the NFL. It was an awesome –
He's but this big tackle, Timi Gagophien, out of Alief Hastings, certainly a guy to keep an eye on. And the Power 5s are starting to notice. It seems like a lot of the really savvy G5s here in the state, you're talking about North Texas, UTSA, Houston. Right. They're already on board. It seems like everybody else is kind of playing catch up there.
Well, he's got 2 SEC offers and no other Power 5 offers. That's kind of weird.
Very odd. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird. Strange situation there. But anyway, he is our prospect on the rise. Let's get to our commit of the week. Our commit of the week. There were no new commitments this week.
Wow.
What? What do we make them commit, Powers?
This happens only once or twice a
It
year.
really is. I guess
that is wild.
There's 52 weeks in the year.
Do you think
so,
graduation has something to do with it? Like their
maybe.
focus on actually getting out of high school?
Well, but remember, these guys are going to be juniors.
Yeah, never mind.
Or I'm sorry, they're juniors right now. And then you also have underclassmen. I don't know. It's odd. I guess maybe it's just 7-on-7 time, and it's kind of
maybe
it's
colleges
a slow time.
are focused on graduation.
It's a slow part of the football calendar anyway. But of the 52 weeks of the year, what, you think there's 2 every year?
Yeah, probably
2
2
weeks that there's no commits?
I will say a lot of the college staffs are on vacation right now.
It is big vacation time in college athletics.
That's a good
You
point.
were absolutely right.
And so we're going to rewind a little bit and go back and talk about Ty. Is it Kana? Kana. A guy whose name I've written 30 times in the magazine. We think Katy's going to be pretty good. And
spoiler.
Ty Kana, I've written him 100 times. I've never said it out loud until now. Ty Kana, their linebacker. He is, I think, between him and Malik Silla, the new stars, the new faces of this Tigers defense. He is a USC commit. He had offers from all over, including Baylor, SMU, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Washington, etc. I think anytime you can get a linebacker from Katy, and one that Gary Joseph will go to bat for, you probably got something special on your hands, and Ty Kana appears to be that.
Yeah, and we never really got a chance to talk about his commitment. Back when he committed on February 20th, here are the guys who committed that week. Noah Thomas was our commit of the week. He committed to Texas A&M. Travell Johnson committed to Texas. Jason Llewellyn committed to Oklahoma. So I was glad that even though we didn't have a commit, that we could take a look back at Ty and kind of shine the spotlight on him, because I think that he brings a certain quality to the table, and he will at USC, that he brings to the table for Katy. You know, he is one of those guys who flat out gets after the football, and he has no wasted movement. When he sees the ball, he pins his ears back and goes and make a tackle. And another one of these guys who I think is going to be an out-of-state gem for a school like USC. I mean, USC is USC, right? Like, they're a prominent program. Have they been down maybe on the national prominence over the last handful of years? Yes. But Ty's going to an elite program and has an elite skill set. So I think they're going to fall in love with this guy from Texas. And I think out-of-state programs don't think, oh, well, we're going to Texas and we're going to find our defensive players.
Yeah.
But this is a guy that they're going to be thrilled about in Trojan land.
Well, and remember, USC, I mean, we can certainly talk about quarterbacks, and we can certainly talk about other positions that they have, in my opinion, underachieved of late. Never been a problem at linebacker. Their linebackers are always good, and they always seem to be putting linebackers into the NFL as well. And so Ty Kana from Katy, the USC commit, is our commit of the week. Let's go to our underclassmen of the week. We're talking This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete, here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Our underclassmen of the week going to DFW down to the I-20 way to 2024 defensive end from DeSoto, Caleb Mitchell, who is a guy who I think is starting to pick up a little bit of steam recruiting-wise, a guy who's going to be asked to do a lot for this DeSoto team. You remember Shamar Turner is off to Texas A&M. They are in need of that new big-time edge rusher. And the staff down there in DeSoto certainly thinks that the 2024 defensive end, Caleb Mitchell, can be that guy.
And I agree. You know, you think at DeSoto, they always have guys on the offensive side of the football who put up big numbers and, you know, make highlight-worthy plays. But last year, their defensive front was amazing with Shamar Turner, Byron Murphy, who signed with Texas. And they're going to have to hit a little bit of the reset button this year. And Caleb is a guy who got varsity experience as a freshman at DeSoto. Not a phrase said often.
Yeah.
I'm racking my brain to just think of the guys who were freshmen that played there. I know that Dontre Wilson spent some time as a kick returner as a freshman, but not a lot of guys have the opportunity to step on the field there as a freshman talent. And I predict 6'2", 240, he's probably 14 or 15 years old. Everybody's going to offer this guy. Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Texas, Ohio State, Clemson. Everybody's coming after this guy by the time it's all said.
Well, and you got to think, too, not only being on the field, but being on the sidelines, he was learning from Shamar Turner, and that can go light years.
And, you know, it's so funny about DeSoto that you're exactly right, that I think we think of DeSoto as having all these big-time offensive prospects and stuff like that, and you're right. And yet, the best player to come out of DeSoto is a defensive lineman, is a rush end in Von Miller. Right? That's the best player to come out of DeSoto. And so there's pedigree there of producing big-time defensive linemen, and Caleb Mitchell could be that next guy. And it'll be exciting to see what he does.
I think you're right. I mean, when you say skill, you also think, for me, like defensive secondary, right?
Yeah, like a safety. I think
and you always think, well, DeSoto is going to have the receivers and the corners and the safeties, but you're right. They do a great job of producing guys on the defensive front.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Finally, let's round it all out with our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week, staying in the DFW Metroplex, let's go to Southlake Carroll. Avyonne Jones, the cornerback from Southlake Carroll, who will be a senior this upcoming year, has decommitted from Oklahoma State, and now he is going to take some official visits, some OVs, as they say in the recruiting parlance. Thank you.
They're back.
He's going to Arizona on June 4th. He's going to Oklahoma State on June 9th. He's going to Wisconsin, Scotty, on June 17th. This strikes me, correct me if I'm wrong, my initial read on this, and I have not talked with Avyonne Jones. I have not talked with anybody at Southlake Carroll. My initial read on the situation is, we can start taking official visits, right?
Yep.
Why don't I
Explore my options.
Look around a little bit.
Right.
I would not be. This doesn't strike me as something happened and suddenly he's not in love with Oklahoma State. He's obviously visiting there, but it strikes me of like, okay, there are more of my options open, so let's go and explore those.
Well, and there's always a part of you that when you have to take these trips, there's no hurt in saying I want to take them with an open mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he has that opportunity. This feels like a guy that would end up at a Wisconsin. And you're like, where did this guy come from now that's getting drafted? And he's like, oh, well, he came from Texas, and we were able to steal him out from underneath the nose of some of these top programs. Southlake Carroll had to hit the reset button on defense last year. I think, and you can correct me maybe if you can recall a little bit better, Tepper, I think they replaced all 11 starters at the beginning of last season.
They might have one guy back.
I think there was one.
Okay,
DB
so
they
back.
had one guy back. But yes, your point is well taken. They were almost, if they were not entirely starting over, they were very close to starting over.
Well, this is one of the guys who stepped up in a huge way. He's extremely athletic on the island. He has great vertical range, meaning that he can high point the football like a wide receiver to limit taller guys. He can jump and get his hands on the football, makes really good plays on the football. But one thing I really like about him as I've gotten to watch him develop is that he's not afraid to put in the work to be successful. He's always one of those guys who's out training, trying to get better, trying to put himself in a situation where he can learn more about the craft. And there's no spot on the field that's more of a technique-based position than cornerback, and Avyonne Jones is one of those guys that I've kind of fallen in love with in that regard.
He looks like he seeks out contact too, which is always big.
Yeah, he's physical.
He's got that dog mentality, I guess is the best way to say it.
Most certainly. A guy who also actually no, I was going to do my segue, but I want to ask you about while we have you here. I want to ask you about the Jadon Blue situation.
Okay.
I think everybody's buzzing about it. Everybody's talking about Jadon Blue opting out, the Klein Kane running back, a guy who we have ranked as the number one running back in the state in the class 2022 at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. My initial read on the situation is that this is a set of circumstances that obviously he thinks this is best. And so, hey, God bless you. Go enjoy it. Who am I to tell you what to do? But I don't necessarily see this as a looming trend that is going to hurt
Be the downfall
high
of
school
Texas
football.
high school football.
I don't think that this is – I think there may be one or two guys who do this every year, but I don't necessarily see this as being like the top 40 players in the state are going to opt out every year. I'm interested in your read on the Jadon Blue situation.
Well, it's layered to me. It's got layers like an onion.
Shrek. Yes.
It's like a bloomin' onion is what I would say.
Like an onion.
First and foremost, the coaches at Klein Kane have done a tremendous job of promoting Jadon Blue and getting him out there. And you hate to see on that side of things that he won't be out there for his coaches and his teammates for his senior season, right? That's something that was my initial thoughts with knowing the coaching staff down there and what I know that how they've gone out of their way to make sure that people have known about him since he was a youngster. So I did feel what I would assume is their pain in this. On the flip side of it, as I look at it from his perspective, I see a guy that's already got 450 carries on his body coming out of high school, and would it help to limit the contact? So I can see what I see there is his perspective on that is that he can concentrate, keep his body healthy, go into college. It's not like that he's hunting for a scholarship. But this is the same old story that we've had for a while. Not very many guys opt out, but there are a lot of guys who don't play with the same passion once they've made their college commitment as they enter their senior year. And is it better for the team to have a running back who's going to give it his all. Obviously, he wasn't going to go out his senior year and if he's thinking about not playing.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
He's not going to go out there
give it.
Yeah, he's not going to go out there and
set records.
Right.
So is this better for the team? Is this better for the team that he's not going to be out there sucking up the carries or I get you know what you get what I'm saying. I'm not trying to look at it in a negative light, but I'm trying to say is this
sure and
half
that's something. Yeah,
right.
That's an interesting point because I do think you're right, and it's kind of an elephant in the room that we want to talk about, which is when a guy commits to a major program or he gets everything he wants from the recruiting world, he has nothing left to gain from the high school football world if he doesn't have that passion for playing high school football in the same way that other people do. And I'm not accusing Jadon Blue of that. I'm just saying if he doesn't have that passion, then yeah, there are guys who maybe take their foot off the gas a little bit and say I'm gonna make some business decisions. And to be clear, these guys are not being paid. They need to do whatever they can to make sure they get paid, and that's fine. I think that is fine if that's what they want to do. That's their prerogative. But I think that you're right. This is not necessarily a new thing. This is just like a new level to something that has already existed with players, whether we talk about it or not. It's just another level to it.
Here's an interesting question on this topic. Mm-hmm. Will he play in the All-American game? He's been invited. He's accepted an invitation.
It's a great question.
See, in my mind, you worry about injury at that point because you haven't been on the field.
Well, and as I mentioned on Monday, I think his reasoning is actually pretty sound, which is as a running back, as a car crash position, you're going to take a lot of hits. You only have X. You know as well as anybody, you have X amount of tread on your tires as a running back, right? It's not like a punter where you can punt forever. You know what I mean? It's not like that.
Crazy with
exactly. There's X amount of time, and so if he thinks I think that I can make it to the league. I think I can play big-time college football. I think I want to make it to the league. I want to get paid for being a running back, and so I'm going to save those for that. The reasoning actually does make some sense. I don't like it personally, but it does make some sense. And so the All-American Bowl is interesting because the All-American Bowl, it would stand to reason that if you are truly committed to the idea of, like, I want to save my hits, then, yeah, the All-American Bowl is a no for me, dog.
Right, and this is just another one of these complicated recruiting questions too, because this is why a lot of people were against, speeding up the recruiting process, where these guys get offers, and commitments, make them before their high school career is over. I think that's why a lot of people in high school football are against that because of these issues. You want them out there, you want them playing, but they're just. You could just peel back so many layers on this. I mean, we could keep talking about this as a debate on is he doing the right thing, is he not doing the right thing, but it just leads to more and more questions about the entire process, and there are going to be no answers. And I love to explain recruiting like this. Everything is unique for each recruit. There's never one way to pigeonhole this for everybody. Every recruitment is unique and individual. Every athlete is unique and individual, and that's how you have to look at all these, and you have to really understand it from Blue's perspective to know what he's thinking. And none of us are Jadon Blue, so we can't really do that.
But one guy that guy is Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. Powers, stick around, please. Oh, and read his fine work in the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football.